Welcome
And
back.
we're back.
So we're here getting ready for this matchup between Yhrem and Lulu. We just saw Lulu face off. We know that his team is rather fast and aggressive. It's another matchup for him where Yrem's team is going to be kind of from the start, maybe a little bit ahead on stats. So we're going to need to see, quite the adjustment from Lulu in pick ban. We need to see some pretty inventive play from him.
I think maybe the difference between this match and the previous one is I'm not sure how well Yhrem will be able to actually pressure Lulu's setup Tems, like the Oshiara with the Serbs and the heat up size munch, as well as deal with things like doubles Albion.
Definitely, those will be key for sure. I mean, we do see that Lulu is he's kind of riding hard into this digital core, and he's a little bit weaker on some of his other coverage options, or rather defensive options, right? So you've got the one water, the single earth, and the size munch. I mean, you can pick these apart in certain ways, but we do see the bracket here.
And we do see afterwards we're going to have Prodi versus Magia and Magnetonics versus Argon in the losers bracket, which will determine who goes on to fight the loser of this match here.
Yeah, okay, so we're pretty close to the end here. We're coming up on the last couple matches. Yhrem, Lulu, then Prodi, Magia, Magnetonics, Argon. All these great players are top level, high level players. So this will be some good matches and an exciting grand finals, I think. But yeah, man, I'm excited for this matchup. I really do think that depending on this pick ban, it's really going to go either way depending on pick ban here. There's a few ways that Yhrem can attack this team from Lulu. Like I said, there's a lot of single type coverages here. You know, you've got the size munch, which threatens out the fires from Yhrem, especially the Scaravolt. You can go banning that and maybe play around those Tems. Banning out the 2-Vine, which gives you access to the Calibus, and the Calibus helps you out against the Osiara as well as the digitals pretty well.
It also has options of maybe banning out like the Hazra, and then Yhrem frees up his Chimerian.
True, very true. Yeah, the single fire really allowing Yhrem. There's a lot of ways that Yhrem can play around this team from Lulu, depending on the pick ban. So it really is going to boil down to who's got the first ban from blue side.
Now, looking at this Magma, I don't know how valuable it's going to be in this matchup because it doesn't really look like it type-wise beats a lot of things Lulu has outside of maybe the 2-Mine.
Very true, very true. So we see ourselves coming into pick ban, and we'll see how these players feel about these teams. It does look like Yhrem is on blue side, so we'll see how he wants to go about attacking this team.
Yeah, like we said, he could ban 2-Vine, free up his Toxics a little bit. He could end his Mentals. He could ban the Size Munch, maybe freeing up the Scaravolt. Or he could ban Hazrat, maybe freeing up the Chimerian. Multiple lines of play.
I do feel like Lulu is a little bit ahead here being on orange side. Being able to counterban is a little bit more impactful in this matchup specifically. I think Yhrem would have preferred to have been orange just because making Lulu have to commit to a first ban allows you to pick around that and decide what you want to pick. So we do see the 2-Vine ban. It's likely we're going to want to see, have access to the Sidoro, possibly the Calibus. We do see the Doro banned out.
Yeah, Lulu correctly identifying maybe one of Yrem's game plans.
So now we have Yhrem on the first pick. It'll be interesting to see what he picks. With the blue side, he did give up that counter ban, but now we do have the counter pick.
Yeah, so now this Hazrat looks potentially very scary for Yhrem.
Definitely. And Yhrem going with the Schween, a safer first pick, maybe allowing him the flexibility on that second pick.
He goes straight into the Size Munch Manko.
Into the Schween, that's interesting. Possibly maybe going for a double up into the Schween, trying to take it out turn 1.
We could also see Yhrem just pick something like Scaravolt here kind of freely because it just threatens the Manko super heavily, and then Schween we know as Fat Burner, so it'll outspeed Manko most likely with a water cannon. And Pocus as well is pretty safe to come in because if Manko gets outsped by the Schween with the Flute Barrier, if he is running it, then Pocus will get a free Spidef buff and is kind of free to just throw a Beta Burst either way.
Yeah, I think this is a very, as much as Yhrem is running a more defensive team, this is a very aggressive, potentially aggressive lead. I mean, even though he's not running much special attack, I think on either of these Tems, the frailty of Lulu's team may lend itself to getting a knockout here.
He
Right,
does
so
pick
you
up.
see the Mimit.
He does ban the Mimit.
Pretty smart. We saw Yhrem pilot that Mimit rather strongly in the previous game.
Now, I'm wondering how good Mimit would be in this game, because he would get to pick up a Tem, but he does have to waste a turn copying something, unlike
Yeah.
Luch's, which just gets to swap in and immediately copy something.
Yeah,
Which-
definitely would be a low tempo play from Yhrem. But I mean, Lulu just giving it the respect that he thinks it deserves. Picking up the Chimerian and the Calibus and the Scaravolt, we're really seeing a lot of strength in the backline here. I feel like this Size Munch is going to be pivotal for Lulu's game plan. I wonder if we see it stay in and try and pressure out this Schween, or if he's going to try and conserve it in the back with the swap.
I'm a little worried for Lulu, because this is similar to Magnetonics' first game with him, because it feels like he's kind of put himself on the back foot depending on how this first turn goes.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have great options to swap in necessarily.
Yeah, we do see the swap. We see OCR coming in. See what he decides to do with the Munko.
If we see the double in on the Monko here, this could be really bad for Luluch, and he does water cannon it.
And taking pretty hefty damage.
And the Pocus does outspeed Monko, but it does live,
Okay.
getting off the soul shot onto Shuin.
So all told, even with the swap, I mean, the Monko surviving is pretty big for Lulu. Trading relatively similar, you know, you're not quite losing a Tem, but putting both Tems within one hit KO range of most Tems.
First, this does look pretty scary for Lulu now, because Monko was one of the best things to deal with this Chimerian. And
Very true.
if it goes down, he only will really have Size Munch.
And the OCR does have access to the Cerbertias this turn, so allowing it to set up is no small thing. So I mean, we were able to put some damage down on the Monko. I don't know if it's worth conserving the Monko. We did see that it got outsped by both the Schween and the Pocus this turn. So maybe it's worth just, you know,
It does have
move
access
economy.
to Hook, however, so it might be able to snipe the KO on Shuin.
Okay. Oh, you know, and this is a Schween Pocus board. We could see the Deluge under that OCR, maybe halting that Cerbertias from getting any stat increases.
And we do see that come out, so Deluge on OCR, and Pocus does have Denigrate online here, so... Oh, and the side hook to wake up OCR, maybe to guarantee that he gets Serbs off.
Wow. Very smart play. Heads up play from Lulu.
But this does mean Shuin will probably live this turn and get to move again next turn.
Yeah. We do get the +2 on the OCR.
And he goes for Beta Burst instead of Denigrate, so very free, just +2 on OCR.
Yep, very free. We do get the rejuvenation going on the Pocus. Now this Schween taking that much damage from the Cerbertias, I mean, it would easily go down to a Water Blade, especially at +2. So we do have to be aware of that possibility.
Granted, what does Lulu even bring in here? That's very good. He can bring Zalbian, maybe?
Yeah, Zalbian is probably
That's probably
the best
only
bet.
answer. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I mean, on this board specifically, you don't really want to be bringing the other two. Well, we did see the Zalbian having access to E-Punch. That E-Punch is going to be pretty effective into this Pocus slot, especially if this OCR is going to outspeed and kill the Schween. We may feel fairly free with the Zalbian to click a move into that slot. You know, we could potentially see a swap out of the Schween into Calibus. Calibus could eat that move pretty handily, as well as threading out the Zalbian with some water techniques. But we do see the Pocus swap.
Okay, the Chimerian coming in for Pocus, probably to eat this E-Punch that he's predicting, and that would proc the bait.
To see the Water Blade, so the Schween does go down. And there's the E-Punch. So, I mean,
Yeah.
a pretty straightforward play from Lulu. We saw Yhrem go ahead and sack the Schween. let that die and bring this Chimerian in on a board that seems pretty good for it. It's threatening both sides at this moment, depending on how fast this Zalbian is. Maybe it can get a CPG off before it can click a move. We do know that Zalbian has access to the 3 Prio Turbine. It'll be interesting to see what Lulu decides to do.
I believe we have seen Zalbian's full moveset now. It's Wastewater, E-Punch, Telekinetic, Shrapnel, and most likely Turbine as the last move. Actually, I don't think we've seen that one yet, but...
So possibly Turbine. We'll have to pay attention to that one and see what we can see. It's also worth noting this OCR is low on stamina. If it wants to click a move, it's going to do so to the detriment of overexerting, hurting itself, and possibly being a liability on this board. But we see the swap instead.
Into the Mimit, maybe trying to eat a Frond Whip and also get a Chimerian, which is not too bad into Yrem's team, but I don't think it's as good as Yrem's Chimerian into Lulu's team.
Definitely. Oh, we see the Scaravolt swap. Gonna get some good... Oh, it's not. It's full, half full here. That's right.
Oh, and important to note that I think Yhrem does run Embers on this Scaravolt, so this Chimerian from Lulu is pretty scared sitting on this board here.
Definitely. Absolutely. We did see the Turbine, so that's the full moveset. We don't quite get a super effective CPG into the Zalbian, but we did see the Turbine going to the Scaravolt slot, which is easily absorbed for less than 10% damage.
Now, very scary position for Lulu because he can't really swap anything out, but also he doesn't really threaten any KOs on his side either.
Very true. Very true. I mean, this Zalbian has to be kind of afraid here, even if it uses an E-Punch ability or something that would give it, make that electric resistance neutral. It's probably not outspeeding the Scaravolt, especially at the 1 Prio of E-Punch, so this could be a game where neither slot in the back wants to swap in and take a Frond Whip, but Zalbian does not want to take this T-Strike, so kind of an interesting play here. This is really going to be an interesting read to see what happens.
He does go for the Rage.
Raw Rage.
So this does mean he won't be one-shot by E-Storm, I believe, unless it's a T-Strike coming down. No longer taking X4, but when it still goes down. And that does mean that this Mimit will probably eat a Frond Whip. Maybe Yhrem hoping he would swap out.
Yeah, so even at half damage, that was a lot. Oh, of course he was at -3. Haha. That's Rage for you.
Of course, that doesn't mean it gets to maybe swap out and copy a Size Munch later, or fire off a CPG into something here.
Yeah, that's probably the ideal scenario, right?
He probably outspeeds as well.
If that's the case, do we see the OCR come here on the left so that we can swap into Size Munch, possibly? Yeah, I think that might be what we're trying to see.
That is his play. And it is notable, though, that he just burned Frond Whip, and now OCR has a turn of relative safety because both these Tems probably are going to outspeed Scaravolt on this board and threaten a KO with the +2 special attack. And Serbs is back online again.
Now we could see a Calibus swap in here for the Scaravolt, getting another turn of the healing from that held item from Scaravolt, that Baton Pass, as well as not taking super effective damage from this +2 OCR.
Now, Yrem's best play might just be to stand with both of these Tems here, just to try to force Lulu to commit to one, and then maybe you get a free kill with Yrem's side, just to try to trade it down.
Not giving Lulu the room to breathe. It's it's possible that with this OCR he's trying to pressure the Scaravolt swap so that he can swap this Size Munch in for free and get some holds off, and then be able to swap this Mimit in and take a double Size Munch possibly.
And if he's reading maybe a Scaravolt swapping out, he could just kill this Chimerian before it moves, maybe with the CPG Serbs, but he just goes straight into Size Munch.
Yeah, so we do see the swap. I do think that, I mean, from both players, this makes a lot of sense. Lulu's really trying to get his positioning correct, and the Chimerian with the glass blade in the Size Munch slot.
Maybe trying to cover in case Lulu stayed in and doubled his Chimerian, but very free Serbs.
+4 OCR. This is going to hurt. Probably not the Calibus so much, but everything else is going to be taking a lot of damage, even this Shimmerian at this point.
I do believe, though, we saw Lulu has Blizzard on this OCR, unlike many others, so +4 Blizzard's gonna hurt for this Calibus.
Very true. Very true. I mean, I would assume that the OCR is running enough speed to outspeed this Calibus, even at the 1 prio.
Another glass blade.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, just opting to get the damage where he can.
Maybe just letting Jim die, trying to get a free swap in without taking too much poke.
Yeah.
That does 70% to Calibus.
Wow. Let's see the Toxic Ink. And it's enough to take it out with the tick.
But he does finally take it down, and this Mimic's going to be forced to copy Size Munch while we have a very healthy Pocus in the back with Denigrate online. So this is looking very scary for Lulu.
Yeah, I mean, this Mimic especially, I mean, even if it is at +4 attack, it doesn't have holds up to get a Size Munch's Wreck off. And the Denigrate is probably going to be enough to take it out, especially with it being at 40% HP, you know? I mean, that +5 attack, you may just opt to go for like an uppercut just to try and get as much chip into this Pocus as you can. But then you're leaving the Calibus open to either strangle or hit that other slot. I mean, this is kind of precarious for Lulu. Like, he kind of has to frag out here and get as many kills. Like, he has to kill both these Tems here, I think.
Yeah, it does feel like this might just come down to if he's able to take out Pocus with maybe a Wreck uppercut before it moves, but it's going to depend on the speeds of both the Pocus and the Mimic, as well as how bulky this Pocus is.
Yeah, I really think that this Pocus being on, you know, we've seen its bulk.
He does just swap it out.
Instead. That's something. I'm
not sure if this is the right call, because now that means the Mimic's going to have Wreck back online.
Yeah, now we see we're going to see the Mimic going to move into this Calibus slot, and then it's going to
be a double kill.
And it's going to be +5 attack. Like, this Size Munch Wreck is going to be much more punishing than this initial one that we would have taken. I don't know. I think that Pocus would have survived that helicopter kick plus Size Munch's Wreck.
I think so, and I believe that just makes it a GG for Lulu, somehow pulling out this first game.
Yeah. Let's see how much damage. Oh, yeah, that's a lot.
Does get the Hypno off, but
it's still gonna die to any move, I believe.
And I don't think he can one-shot the Size Munch here, seeing how it was very bulky. He does just get outsped, and that's GG for Lulu game 1.
There it is. Game 1 for Lulu. So, I mean, we saw Lulu find himself in a position at that end game where, you know, he played to his outs, and I feel like Yhrem did not play to his as well as Lulu did.
Yeah, there were some crucial turns, like where he frond whipped the Chimmerian that just clicked Rage, or so then he didn't have frond whip up for the Size Munch or the Yoshiara, and then the multiple glass blades while it wasn't being taken out, so it just lost so much value. And then, of course, that last crucial turn where he just swaps Pocus out to eat the then +5 Wreck instead of trying to live the the unboosted one plus a +5 uppercut or something.
Definitely, yeah. Giving this type of aggressive team too much room to breathe is that's kind of one way that it spells your doom. You kind of have to keep the pressure up. You can't allow them these types of swaps, these greedy plays to get the extra value. So we do see the Magma ban as well as the Mimic ban on Lulu's side.
Very interesting ban on the Magma, because Lulu does have both Oshiara and Manko and Size Munch even as very good options into this Magma. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering what he's thinking there.
The very quick pickups here. So we see the lead from Yhrem with the Scaravolt into a quick 2-Vine Size Munch. This must be obviously trying to dissuade the Pocus or the Adora Boros pickup to counter out this Size Munch, which is in turn threatening the Scaravolt on turn 2.
I can't help but think that maybe Yrem's a little shaken by the stuff that Lulu was able to do with Mimit in game 1, just banning it right up. But I don't know if that's the play, seeing as how many good options Luluch has into what Yhrem has.
Yeah, Yeah, definitely did not pick apart the team as well as we did game 1 from pick ban. Like banning out that 2-vine turn 1 really allowed your mentals to have leverage here against the size munch pick, but not doing so game 2. It's really showing, you know.
It does look like we're going to get a very free heat up from the size munch in this next game.
The Dorboros banned out. I don't know what I'd like to see here. I mean, it feels like Yhrem is kind of struggling. We go for the Munko.
I think the answer would have been maybe Hazret, so that he doesn't have good answers for the Chimerian, but banning out the Monko to try to open up his Pocus a little bit, as well as maybe the Shuin.
We do see the Mimit being picked. We saw that being left the last time. I mean, obviously, we're bringing the Hazrat, which is threatening the Chimerian ×4, so looks like kind of a shaky pick ban here for Yhrem.
But depending on how this lead goes, he might be able to still maneuver this position.
We'll have to find out. I mean, this does, like you said, this does enable Lulu the turns to set up with this size munch. I mean, the pretty straightforward play here is to put some pressure onto this Calibus slot from the 2-vine. We don't really want this Calibus putting water moves into the size munch.
Of course, though, that Monko ban, what that did do with the Mimit is it denied size munch any synergies with Rek. So if Yrem's able to outspeed it somehow, maybe with the Mimit, it will mean late game that the size munch will just get outsped and maybe not get a Rek off if it takes too much damage here.
Very true. Okay, we see the Embers coming out from the Scaravolt, proccing that bait. Oh, we see the Strangle, allowing the Scaravolt some more time to be on board.
Maybe this will mean something like Shuin can come in now and get Deluge, and because, as we mentioned, there's no pry on the Wreck, he'll be able to get ahead of it.
Yeah, very true. I think that's probably a pretty likely play that we see from Yhrem, swapping out this Calibus for the Shuin. It does enable the Scaravolt another turn to maybe click a T-Strike into 2-vine. Even though it's a neutralized hit, this 2-vine special defense it's not very high, and we do know that this 2-vine is running a bit of speed investment, as we saw from the Magnetonics game.
I do believe the T-Strike would have been more damage than the Embers there, seeing how low 2-vine speed F is and how low Scarevolt's attack is, especially uninvested.
Going for the E-Storm, maybe reading a swap. Oh yeah, look at that, even
so
the
much
E-Storm.
damage.
It's so much damage.
That might have actually taken it out if he T-Striked it the first turn.
Quite possibly.
Of course, we do see that he has Deluge online now, but maybe Lulu can see this as a very obvious play and just straight up CPG the Scaravolt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that would be a pretty safe play. I mean, even if you're trading damage into the Scaravolt and taking a T-Strike, oh no, you wouldn't be taking a T-Strike because you'd be expecting to swap. It's possible. Oh. You do see the
He's
Bogus.
going for this, but this is very telegraphed play, and
yeah.
I believe Lulu just clicked Rek and CPG most likely. Not much.
I would expect to read this, yeah. Definitely. Quite a bit of damage, 60% taken onto this Pocus. So now the question is, what do we pick? What do we do here? I think that we do have options to sleep this 2-vine if we so choose.
Could get ahead with a Turbine maybe, or depending on how fast it is, it might just outspeed with a CPG.
Very true. I mean, we do know that this 2-vine has speed, and assuming this Pocus is not very speed invested, we see the swap coming in from the size bench.
Yhrem could also just maybe swap out the Pocus and just get Synergy Water Cannon down onto one of these Tems.
Very true. Oh, instead going for the Quartz Shield. And
the Hypno at least to cover it.
Okay.
So gambling on the outspeed, and it does pay off. But he's still not liking this board with the Pocus.
No, we do have the Deluge back up, but we're not going to be putting this Ragnet to sleep, which would have been rather nice. But this Chamomile allowing Lulu a little bit of space to pressure this Pocus this turn.
Of course, at least Pocus does have a pretty safe swap into Scaravolt here, or
Oh, going for the Calibus.
Interesting. As that does not resist the E-Punch either, so...
No. And we do see the synergy for the E-Punch.
Taking a lot of free chip, but maybe a Water Cannon onto that 2-line, but it's swapped into Zalbian, so that's a lot of poke.
Yeah. Taking the super effective damage, plus the Toxic Ticks.
But unfortunately, because of the Nut Bar and the Fat Burner, another one of these Water Cannons plus Toxic Ticks won't kill the Zalbian.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is definitely interesting. I mean, the size munch in the back it's slowly and surely becoming more and more of a problem for Yhrem to deal with. I mean,
he's starting to lose all of his options to resist with +3 rec.
Yeah.
Oh, and Lulu reads the swap and just hits the Shuin now. Double prio.
Wow.
Taking it out before it moves.
Yeah, and this is where the pressure from aggro is really going to shine. I mean, we're giving him space to attack, and we're swapping. A lot of negative tempo here from Yhrem.
And he has worked himself into quite the predicament.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think this Mimit, as we mentioned earlier, is going to really be able to find time to copy something and set up very safely. There's nothing on this board that it really likes copying, as it'll either eat X2 from electric or digi moves, or just be weak to the size munch later.
Definitely. Yeah, this is not looking great for Yhrem. Rather grim. I think at this point, all Lulu has to do is just continue to click moves. I mean, just force Yhrem to have to deal damage, but you're ahead on Tems. Dealing the Ragnet. Okay. It's going to eat this Electro Punch this turn.
He does go for the E-Punch Wastewater, maybe in case there is a Zalbian copied here.
And the the E-Storm does take the Zalbian out.
But I think this is what Luluch was hoping for, because now look at this board, and there's a +3 attack size munch rec that's going to be coming out.
I mean, this is a rather free wreck. I mean, nothing... What do we have in the back that even wants to eat this? The Calibus maybe, but and the Pocus coming in probably dies to this as well. Any of these 2 Temps on the board probably dies to this. If this Ragnet does have Hypnosis, it's possible the Mimit outspeeds and can put it to sleep, but still, it's just a matter of time before this size munch can click that move and net at least 1 kill.
And all Lulu has to do is maybe just cover a Scarebolt swapping and simply hit it with an electric move, and Calibus or Pocus aren't really safe to come in.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time, even with this Hypno, before size munch rec just comes down and probably takes away the game.
Yeah, you've got another, like in 2 turns, we'll see it. I don't know if Yhrem has much that he can do about it. Do you see the Pocus come in?
He does hit
Hypnosis.
When he side perfect jabs to wake up.
Jab, so smart. This should be a double kill.
And the Pocus barely hangs on.
Wow. Still rather impressive damage, though. Putting that Pocus within 1-shot range of almost any move, I would think, from any of these Temps left over. I think we do want to keep the size munch alive in the back.
He does bring the Scarebolt in, because now that size munch wrecked, it doesn't have a way to 1-shot Scarebolt here. And the only really safe swaps Luluch has for size are Hazrat, and this would mean that he's just delaying and getting wreck up, so it might again come down to if he is able to outspeed this Pocus with either size or Ragnet here.
Now, the Ragnet being low in stamina means that he's not going to have much of a turn next turn with this Ragnet if he chooses to click a move. This Calibus swap,
he does have the turbine.
So choosing to sacrifice some health in this Calibus, which does not die. We do see a heli kick. We're getting the wreck back up on this size munch. You see a fire tornado going into the Ragnet, and it does take it out.
He's able to take it out. But that might be worse for Yhrem, because if the Pocus outsped the Size Munch, it means that now Yrem's able to bring another Temin, or Luluch is able to bring another Temin that has Prio and can just outspeed the Pocus Beta Burst or something.
Yeah, I mean, knowing that this Turbine has speed, I believe we have the Turbine up on it, and we do see it, and it outspeeds, and we're going to take this Pocus out. I think that's just going to be game. We're going to see the Size Munch Wreck take this Caravel down to 0. Gonna be a quick 2-0 for Lulu.
Yeah, very well played.
Yeah.
GG.
I think Yhrem definitely had the tools in his arsenal to deal with the kind of pressure that Lulu was putting on, as we saw game 1.
He definitely seemed to collapse under the pressure, and after that game 1, maybe was a little bit scared of some of the things Lulu had, like the Mimit, and then affected how he played in game 2.
Yeah, definitely. I think that just a little shaken up from that game 1, where I feel like he was in a commanding position that probably, if he had just played it about the same as he did game 1, I think he could have made some small corrections and come out on top. But instead, I think nerves maybe got to him a little bit.
Yeah, it did seem like he was about to win, and then that Mimit just changed everything.
Yeah, I think swapping that Pocus out game 1, I really do think that was just a free Denigrate that would have killed at least the Mimit, eaten the Wreck, and then would have been able to have Pocus alive and a Tem in the back to deal with that the Size Munch that was left alive. But as it is, we see Lulu taking it into winners finals, and we'll see Yhrem is not out yet. He's going to be down in the losers bracket.
He's still top 3 guaranteed.
Yeah, top 3 guaranteed, with a chance at grand finals.
Yeah, and then we'll be moving on to the losers bracket now soon to see who is going to get the chance to maybe make it into the grand finals.
So I think we're going to throw it over to before we throw it over to Lore Weaver and Scarsing, we do have the bracket up here. So we do see Lulu in the grand finals, and then Yhrem sitting at the end of losers bracket. He'll be the final challenger for either one of Proti, Magia, Magnetonics, or Argon, depending on how these matchups shake out.
And I do think now we're going to be swapping it over to Lore Weaver and Scarsing. So, see you guys soon.
We'll see you in a bit. Enjoy some more Temtem action.
Okay, I have 2 words.
Hello, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back, over. Do you know what 2 words I'm thinking about there in this entire series we just watched? Which 2 words is in my head right now?
Yeah, I do think so. Rock bottom.
Exactly, it was Size Munch's game. When I first saw all the teams for all the players, I was kind of a bit. I was doubting Luluch in why they brought a Size Munch, right? It's not a Tem you often see. It has a lot of common weaknesses like mentals, waters, natures, but this game really showed how this Tem just gets 1 heat up and it just pops off. In the first game,
totally.
Yeah, you saw in the first game, right?
Oh yes, I did.
The way that Lulu used the rage of Magnetonics with the Chimerian to boost their own Size Munch Mimit and get it to +5 attack. Now, we did see that at the very end, Yhrem did swap out that Pocus where it could have perhaps taken down that +4 or +5 Mimit before it had Wreck Up, but they swapped out. So, and this is one of the most crucial turns, I'd say, in that game, right? Because it kind of just decided the game. So I feel like maybe either Yhrem was confident that the Pocus maybe would not kill that Mimit, as we did see Luluch's Mimit is decently slow, so it could be very bulky. Do you remember Luluch's Mimit copying that Hazrat? Before this series, we had another series with Luluch with Magnetonics. that Hazoret did not like outspeed a 2-line for Magneton, so it's probably a slow like Mimit, a bulky one, so it might have lived a beta burst, and that's what like Yhrem was thinking about. Unfortunately, the other option where it would not have defeated the Size Munch and swapping your focus out would not really create any advantage for Yhrem there, so I feel like that was maybe a big misplay on Yrem's part, but I have to give him like some sort of break, right? Because this, okay, Low Reaper, what is the difference between the prize pool between second place and third place? Do you remember?
Second place and third place, it's actually quite a lot because it's $600. Like third place gets 1,000 and second place gets 1,600. So that match was quite worth some money. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
Like you have
at this point, like the pressure on the players is like amazing.
Exactly, you have so much pressure on like both players. It's like I do not blame Yhrem for any play that he made, because when you have that pressure, sometimes your headspace just is not right, and that's why I believe like the pig ban for the second game might have been slightly disadvantageous for Yhrem, as like that Size Munch just got set up, and slowly as like Lulu's very nicely lowered down like this threats that were like harming the Size Munch, like the Calibus and the Pocus. It's because of like them being chipped down. Luluch could later come in with the Size Munch and just take away the entire game. Oh wow!
Yeah, that's Siege Munch, like like I just said in chat, like Lush is just speedrunning that tournament with with the Siege Munch.
Mhm.
And
Well, now-
we'll see it again in the grand finals. But for now, I think we're gonna take a little break, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna go over to Prody and Senior Plat, right?
Yep, we will. So we will see everyone after a very short break to cast Prody versus Senior Plat. Another exciting game.